the current journey that I'm on is finding myself again through fashion, through music, through art, and just trying to find what feels like me. I've been back from Greece for a couple of days now, and I really wanted to get back into filming, and I was gonna make some like epic video. I was gonna sit down and film a bunch of content, and honestly, I just kind of feel like shit. So this is me just kind of getting my life back together after traveling for 22 days straight. And also, I'm wearing my favorite t-shirt. It says I eat cement, so how can you have a bad day when your t-shirt has a rabbit on it that says I eat cement? So my office is kind of a disaster. I mean, it's not a disaster, but it is a mess. So maybe I will clean up, and we also have a big pile of laundry. So I'm just gonna do like one load of laundry and see if that brings back some zest to my life. Filming that was kind of the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I don't know why, like, walking into my garage with a tripod to film myself putting laundry in the washer was fucking so embarrassing. Anyways, did something productive, so let's have a chat. The funny thing about travel, you have this anticipation going into it. Like, you're like, this is gonna be so epic. I'm gonna have all these amazing outfits. I'm gonna be super cool and sophisticated. I'm gonna sit on a little patio. I'm gonna drink my little coffee, and I'm gonna be so mysterious. And I don't know, you think you're gonna have this whole new like alter ego or something. I don't know, that's so stupid. But there's something about traveling, at least for me, and the way that I've always traveled. I'm not like a huge traveler, but I've traveled a little bit. And it's just so humbling. But I think if you're traveling right, like truly traveling, you're gonna be a little uncomfortable. And I think I always know this going in, but there's no way to truly anticipate what that discomfort's gonna look like until you get there. I didn't really think I was gonna sit down and ramble like this, honestly. I started this like it was a vlog, and I'm not like a vlogger. Maybe I will be one day, but there's like 59 of you that watch my videos, so I don't know if you guys care about me that much yet. But yeah, I think part of the reason I'm filming this is because so much of my story and where I'm at right now is kind of being in a place in my life where I am noticing patterns more, and I am learning to shift into more of an evaluation of those patterns than judgment, and I'm not perfect at it. It's really hard for me. But I can see that there's this gap between the person I am and the person I want to be, and so much of it is the difference in being in a state of judgment versus a state of evaluation of myself. So I rotated things a little bit because that lighting was really bad. When I got back from this trip, the first day, like, my mind was reeling with all of these observations and reflections, and so I wrote a bunch of notes, just like stream of consciousness on my laptop. I think I sat for like at least an hour just mind dumping all of it, and I don't think I could ever begin to articulate it in words as well as I articulated it in writing. But I'll try to kind of just recap, I guess, a little bit of these reflections I had around nervous system sensitivity and just heightened awareness, and how that kind of played out over the course of my travels. So I mentioned I've been doing a lot of self-development work over the last year and a half, and kind of working to grow my awareness and recognize my patterns, which is not to say that I wasn't already like a self-aware person. I think I've always been a very introspective person, but the thing with personal development and recognizing your patterns and unpacking, you know, your trauma or your experiences is that it's truly an endless well. There's always another level to tap into. And so the last year, it's been like really getting into the stuff that I've never wanted to touch or look at, which is so fun. I'm having a great time, having such a good time. And one thing I'm learning is our bodies are so intelligent. You know, our bodies have this way of storing trauma or experiences that you don't have the tools to deal with at the time. And you're able to operate from a place that allows you to compartmentalize those pieces until you're ready to deal with them. And once you do reach a level of safety and awareness, and I guess nervous system regulation, your body starts to say, hey, maybe we can start to look at this now because you're ready. Which kind of just feels like a double-edged sword in a way, because it's healing, but it's terrifying, right? You get to this place of safety to then almost feel unsafe because your body's like, hey, I've been storing this, let's take a look at it. And I think anybody that's experienced any kind of trauma to any degree and has been on a healing journey, I imagine you probably know what I'm talking about here. But it is just this constant process, and you're never really done if you want to continue growing. Over the course of the last year, I've had a lot more safety and opportunity to reflect on some of my deeper patterns and things that were harder to observe previously. But having all of this new awareness of those patterns and just how things affect you can really throw your nervous system for a loop. Things that used to not affect you as much or at all just have a completely different effect on you, or at least that's been my experience. You're just taking in more information and processing more than you might have been previously. And even if that's just on a subconscious level, your body and your mind are still processing that. And this is not a bad thing. That's just part of the process of healing. It's part of growing, is just to experience that discomfort and to watch it unfold objectively. So a lot of this work that I've been doing that I mentioned has just mostly been to equip myself with a toolkit so that I know how to work with these new insights and this new awareness that I'm gaining. So when these patterns come up and you do start to recognize things, you have a process now. You can say, okay, I see what's happening here. Let me get curious and have a conversation with my body and my feelings so you can truly begin to process things properly. And that may sound kind of woo-woo, but this is kind of what I mean when I say that our bodies are intelligent. Our emotions are how our body communicates with us. So the more that you are able to sit with your emotions and experience them and get curious about them, the more you can start to really connect with your body and to just be more present and to be comfortable operating from that place. So this brings me full circle to recovering from this grief trip that I went on, and some reflections on the state of my nervous system and how that affected me during my travels. And this is not about Greece specifically. Getting out of your routine and into any new environment is an excellent way to start to become aware of your patterns and the way that you are showing up in different situations. Like I said earlier, it kind of makes you uncomfortable because there's less distractions. There's less of those everyday comforts from your routines that you're always in. It's harder to kind of step away and numb yourself the way you normally would if you were at home and just scrolling on your phone. So yes, a lot of this came up on this trip, but it didn't have anything really to do with Greece as much as it had to do with just being in a new environment where all of these patterns were kind of put under a microscope for me to see. To give an example, for me on this trip, I really noticed how my brain goes into these comparison loops when I'm out in the world. And in a way, it's a lot more oriented towards self-judgment than it is evaluation. But it did make me start reflecting on why I go into these comparison loops and this constant self-monitoring. I spend more time than I would ever care to admit putting thought and effort into how I show up and how I present myself through how I dress, how I do my hair, how I do my makeup, etc. And even when I feel satisfied with how I look, before I leave the house or before I post something, the second I get out into the world and I start monitoring myself again, I go back into this comparison loop, this kind of judgment that's not the same as a healthy evaluation. I could truly probably dedicate a whole other entire video to unpacking that part of my psyche, and maybe I will, because it's something I'm actively working on. But I think the point that I'm getting to right now is that I've realized I've just kind of created this mask for myself and I've been curating it for years. But it just made me realize on this trip that the more I think about why it is that I enter these comparison loops, I think it's because this way that I've been presenting myself, this more conventionally attractive version of myself, has been a part of this mask that I've been curating. Which is not to say that I don't enjoy being feminine and pretty. Like, I think the more that I heal, the more that I have learned to like integrate these feminine parts of myself. But I think a lot of why I've been doing fashion content on this channel is because I've always felt like fashion and the way I dress was a form of self-expression. I think a lot of people feel that way. And so a lot of the current journey that I'm on is finding myself again through fashion, through music, through art, and just trying to find what feels like me, because I've been very disconnected from that for a very long time. But I guess to kind of bring this diatribe full circle, my nervous system has just been in a pretty raw state over the last year or so. And so being in a new environment versus being in the comfort of my own home with my routine and my little creature comforts, it just really exacerbated all of this. So yeah, now that I've been home the last few days, I've just been really taking the time to integrate these experiences that I had, good and bad, to reflect, because a lot of this stuff, when I was experiencing it in the moment, you know, and it's not until you slow down a lot of the time that you can start to put words to these sensations, at least for me. So I'll put a pin in this for now because I feel like this video could get really long and out of control really fast. But I feel like there's so much here that I could go into more detail on, and maybe I'll take some time to organize my thoughts in another video and talk more about this stuff in detail. On the edge of, what am I trying to say? After all of these experiences over the last, 22 days, I'm just feeling very raw. I'm feeling a little bit emotionally vulnerable. I think in this phase in life, I'm just constantly meeting a new version of myself. And it feels like sometimes it happens faster than my body can catch up. So I'm just settling back into my life, trying to get back into a routine of filming content and being creative. I'm getting back into seeing my vocal coach on a weekly basis, getting back in the gym. And yeah, right now it just kind of feels like I'm a baby deer walking for the first time. I don't know like what this video is. I've never done anything like this before, but I just feel like I had a stream of consciousness that needed to exit my brain and exist on the internet. So now it does. If there's anything I talked about in this video that you'd like me to talk more about, all 59 of you, let me know. But for now, I think I'm gonna go fold some laundry. I'm gonna eat a snack, I'm gonna hydrate, and I'm gonna go to my voice lesson later. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you if you got to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much. And thanks for just letting me take this space to projectile vomit my thoughts. And I'll probably do it again, whether you care or not. So I'll be here either way. All right, bye.